All right, new tonight here on The Current. Today, October 14th, marks 4 years since the 2021 John Deere strike began. This went on for 34 days. Thousands of workers, most of them right here in our area, were on the picket line for weeks. And when all was said and done, a historic agreement was signed between the UAW and Deere and Company. But since then, we have seen Deere's revenue and profitability sharply decline, fueled by a variety of factors, and we've seen hundreds of layoffs. So on this anniversary, we are joined by Dr. Michael Childers, a labor expert with the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Dr. Childers, thank you so much for being back here with us. I mean, we spoke a ton back in 2021. I know you followed this strike closely, but when it comes to labor at the time, you were talking about what this agreement meant for future workers. And, you know, it might give other companies pause before they ask a lot of their workers while they also have record profits going on. What do you think about all of that today? Is that still true?
There's no question that the socioeconomic environment has definitely changed in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, you just covered some of it on your newscast. And I think that I think we were right in the sense that these workers were sort of the lead workers in the UAW that pushed companies for more equity. And then, this was in 21. Think about the big three automakers negotiations, and they ultimately went on strike and won, many gains for their workers, basically trying to get back a lot of the things that they had given back when times were leaner. That has panned out, but obviously in the last 12 months or so, or since the new administration has taken office, you've seen kind of unprecedented attacks on federal workers. And yeah, just in general, that the temper of the times has definitely turned.
I mean, how would you describe this atmosphere shift that you're seeing?
I think in all of these circumstances, it is very local in the sense that workers and employers have a mutual history, and what workers decide that they need to do to try to get a deal that they feel is fair will always vary. I think, yeah, in the general sense, though, with all the uncertainty that people are feeling now, both in terms of inflation, tariffs, the cost of products, there's a higher demand. People want equity, and at the same time, they also basically want to try to make sure that their family is going to be taken care of.
I mean, I'm thinking back to 2021 and this phrase that was thrown around, that it was almost like the year of unions or the year of strikes. I mean, we saw strikes all across the country, the John Deere strike being one of, if not the largest. And I'm thinking now, what are some of the most common concerns and issues that you're hearing among labor groups today that would compare back to what we were living through, 4 years ago?
I mean, again, I think everyone has suffered with the kind of increase in inflation, and you're right. These workers had their list of demands, but again, there's a long history between Deere and the UAW, and a lot of these workers, part of their slogans were, "We just want to get back to literally the type of benefits that our parents had when they worked here." And I think that really resonated with a lot of people. And again, that became part of the kind of the battle cry for the UAW more broadly in their Big Three negotiation. I mean, today, for instance, you had over 46,000 workers go on strike on the West Coast, healthcare workers for Kaiser Permanente. And again, that's a relationship that has been heralded as like a model joint labor management partnership as little as 15 years ago. So again, workers are always going to try to advocate for fairness and equity on their jobs. But there's no question that they're also reading the tea leaves, and they can, in an unsettled environment like we're experiencing right now, that absolutely has an impact. I mean, let's look. Workers don't want to go on strike. That is literally their last resort, because it means that, yeah, they're facing immense uncertainty, and they're not getting to do their jobs, and they're not getting paid. So it's again, that's always the last resort, never the first, when workers are trying to work these things out with their employers.
I mean, well, Michael, I'm glad you brought up the West Coast strike, because I wanted to end with this. Could you see the same 34-day John Deere strike happening today, given what we know about the agriculture market and the layoffs that we've seen throughout Deere and Company?
I mean, Deere is uniquely positioned because the tariffs really hurt, right? And it definitely impacts their business model and their strategy. I would say specific to Deere, it remains uncertain. I don't know that. Again, back to misreading sort of the tea leaves back then. I don't know that Deere would come asking for massive concessions. But I do know that the UAW's international president has been rallying the broader labor movement, including his local unions, to think forward towards May of 2028 and trying to make contracts all expire then to maximize the sort of leverage that working people could have to advocate for their best deal possible.
Michael, as always, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. We really appreciate it both 4 years ago and also today. Thank you for being here.